to set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.
Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Secret 12 is a binary of nutrimedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Simply put, if you want the best at an extremely low price, this is it. Winter Sun is the result of our pursuit of the best source of vitamin D3. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Not only does vitamin D3 promote a healthy mood, but vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
They took my saddle in Houston, broke my leg in Santa Fe, lost my wife and a girlfriend somewhere along the way.
In defense of human liberty, Alex Jones.
I'll be looking for aid when they pull that gate.
We're trying to investigate and understand why our country is degenerating so quickly. We have Henry W. Vinson and co-author Nick Bryan on with us, Confessions of a D.C. Madam. Gentlemen, where is the best place for folks to get the book to really dig into this and understand it? It's very well documented, full of photos, graphics, news articles, you name it.
Well, you can go to my website, henryvinson.com, or amazon.com, or Barnes & Noble.
All right, let me run through some of these questions that I want to get to here. You were initially glad to have Greta Van Susteren as your defense attorney, but not for long. What changed her tactics with your case? I mean, there's a lot of big players involved in this, and boy, look how she got rewarded.
Well, I was very disappointed with the way Greta Van Susteren represented me, because the government accomplishes two objectives when she was my attorney: my silence and imprisonment. And at the onset of my case, she filed an 11-page motion to mandate the release of my clientele list that the government had previously seized from me. And Greta argued that the names of my patrons should be released because if the government's assertion was accurate and my escort service was in actuality a prostitution ring, my clients aided and abetted a criminal enterprise. She said she felt that forcing the government to disclose my clientele list would have baited zealous prosecution of me. But the U.S. Attorney for D.C. Contested Greta's motion, and the government used a rather disingenuous argument. They were worried about embarrassing the client. So shortly after the U.S. Attorney and the judge ruled that the clientele list could not be disclosed, Greta started to change her tune, and she was urging me to take a plea agreement, which was 5 years in prison. Ultimately, I did enter into a plea agreement with the government, and I spent days being debriefed by the government officials. I told them everything I knew, everything I'd witnessed, which was very incriminating, and Greta, unbelievably, didn't attend any of the debriefings where I was incriminating myself.
Wow. You've kept your story quiet for so long. Why are you now breaking your silence?
Well, after all these years, I've undergone a 25-year character assassination by the media, and I just wanted to tell my side of the story. It's never been told. But second, I do believe the American political system has become a wayward aberration of the ideas it was built upon. And I believe that blackmail plays a much more integral role in hijacking our political system than what most people know.
Sure.
And, of course,
sorry, go ahead.
Americans aren't aware because the media does not report on it.
Sure. Do you think your sexual orientation played a role on how zealously they went after you? I mean, you can go to Las Vegas and there's prostitute ads on TV. I mean, it's just so hypocritical that they selectively target certain groups.
Well, I do. I think that my sexual orientation, because I ran a gay escort service during the Reagan and Bush One administration, and many of the politicians and power brokers that I provided with escorts were closeted Republicans. And it would have been a death knell to their careers if it came out that they were soliciting the
Sure, so they wanted to shut you up even though you hadn't spoken out. Even though it was the CIA that was releasing all this stuff, you were getting the blame. Let me expand on that. What percentage, I know it's a guesstimation, dead reckoning, what percentage of Congress would you say is bisexual or gay?
Well, we've had a lot of clients. I would venture 30-40% of them. We've had a lot of clients.
Yeah, that's the number I've gotten from a lot of other bigwigs. It's about 30-40%. Finally, and then you can have the floor here at the end with you and your guest, your co-author. In running a gay escort service, you were exposed to many incredible scenes, heavy drug use, orgies, pedophilic type fantasies, just name a few. What was some of the more sinister things you were exposed to during your time as a madam?
I think the most disturbing and sinister thing I was exposed to was the fact that politicians and power brokers were provided with children if they had those inclinations. I was consistently pressured by D.C. power brokers to provide child prostitutes to their power broker cronies, but I refused to have anything to do with child prostitution. And the federal government was aware of the fact because I told my government debriefers about an interstate pedophile network that was providing D.C. politicians and power brokers with children.
Sure, the finders got exposed, and the government was involved in that, and they covered it up. Look at...
this network was the Larry King, Craig Spence network.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a separate network.
Nebraska.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to get into that. In fact, I want you to spend a few minutes on that, and we'll both have you back to expand from this area in D.C. out to the really nasty underbelly of this. But what about the famous gay congressman, Barney Frank, who got didn't get in trouble, but it turned out his boyfriend was running an underage callboy network, 14-year-olds and stuff out of his house. 3-story Georgetown deal. That was on the news back in the 80s and 90s as well.
Henry employed Barney Frank's lover. He worked for Henry, Frank Joby.
That's right. Frank Joby was the one on those newscasts I've seen from the archives, and it's just crazy. Remember a few years ago before Frank retired, Barney Frank, he said, look, mess with me, I'm outing you all. And remember how quick they backed off on the corruption investigation?
And he was also one of the principal cheerleaders for the bailout, which is kind of interesting. He went against his constituency and really was a big cheerleader for the bailout. So I think Barney probably had some skeletons in his closet also, other than just his homosexuality.
Good God. And that's investigative reporter Nick Bryant. Nick, I want to give you both about 2-3 minutes here at the end. We'll have you back soon on the Nightly News, uninterrupted, to really break this down, and we can then document everything for the TV audience and actually show people news articles. But spend a few minutes on where the rabbit hole goes, Nick Bryant.
Well, the rabbit hole goes all the way up to the pinnacle of the Bush administration. And it's kind of interesting. What brought Henry down was he was providing escorts to Donald Gregg. And your audience might not know who Donald Gregg was. He was George H.W. Bush's national security advisor when Bush was the vice president. And Donald Gregg was getting gay escorts from Henry on his government-issued MasterCard. And a GAO employee called Henry because they were running these credit cards through a funeral service, a funeral merchant account. So a GAO employee called Henry up and asked him why Donald Gregg was purchasing so many funeral accessories from him. And so Henry told the GAO employee, government accounting office employee, that was kind of a personal matter with Donald Gregg and that she should talk to Donald Gregg about it. And then Henry called Craig Spence and said, the GAO is calling me about Donald Gregg racking up all these funeral accessories on his government-issued credit card. And Spence invited Henry to his place, and there, waiting for Henry, was Craig Spence and a member of George H.W. Bush's cabinet. And they told Henry that they wanted him to cover for Donald Gregg, and he refused to cover for Donald Gregg, who ultimately became the ambassador to South Korea when Bush ascended to the presidency. And and Henry was given a threat by a cabinet member who was obviously part of this network. And then shortly thereafter, the Secret Service raided Henry, and that's when all his problems started.
Well, all I know is that Congress is compromised. They're doing things that are against the country, against themselves, against common sense. And it is just a giant disaster, a giant mess. How do we fix this? How do we turn this around, Henry W. Vinson?
Well, I think we turn it around by exposing it. I think but 90% of the media is controlled by 5 major corporations. So the media does not publish a lot of these things. And, of course, the federal government has a greater dexterity to cover up sex scandals in Washington, D.C., because the federal government is the U.S. attorney for D.C., who prosecutes all D.C. crimes, is appointed by the president. The FBI and Secret Service are also minions of the executive branch, and Congress controls the budget of D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department. So D.C. is, everything that happens in D.C. is very easily covered up.
Kind of like Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that's not really true. It's being used for blackmail. I remember having Senator DeCamp on probably 15 years ago and hitting delay and delay and delay because he was saying Boys Town and it hadn't come out yet, and that Penn State was a pedophile ring. And I told him, sir, you can't talk like that on air. It hadn't been in the news. I'm not going to cover it. I just cover stuff that's pretty much already there, or we break it ourselves. We don't speculate very often, very rarely. And then years later, it all comes out. And we all know Sandusky was just one level of this. I mean, my God, I hate to think how deep this goes. It's crazy.
Well, the American ruling class probably would make Caligula envious at this point. And Washington, D.C. is certainly a Babylon unto itself.
It is. It is. Listen, Mr. Vinson, Mr. Bryant, thank you so much for your courage. People should get the book, Confessions of a D.C. Madam. I want to have you back up in the near future. Have a good rest of your Sunday evening. Be safe. All right, folks, I'm out of time. Great job to the crew. We'll cover, I didn't get to some of the news. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Lord willing, we'll be on the air with the weekday transmission. Please spread the word. Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Secret 12 is a binary of nutrimedical-grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Alex Jones here. For the last 2 years, I've been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to design a nutraceutical formulation that has truly life-changing health benefits. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Visit InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.